want to bring Jodey Arrington into our conversation this morning as the government shutdown continues. We want to get his take on where we are, where the impasse is, and is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Mr. Arrington, it's nice to see you this morning.
Andrew, good morning. Well, I think the Democrats have been operating as if the people's pain is their political gain, but I don't think they know what pain is yet. November 1st will be a big test. I hope we don't have to test it, but that's when 42 million people who depend on SNAP for their nutritional assistance and to feed their families will be jeopardized. You already have seniors and veterans and vulnerable people, mothers with their children who receive critical health care nutritional assistance through WIC, troops and their families, and the list goes on. So I hope that we will see Democrats in the Senate break. I believe we will. They're already having calls for passing the clean CR from key constituencies like the federal, unionized federal workforce. And so I'm hopeful that that will happen because I think it's in the best interest of the American people. We can negotiate consensus, bipartisan policy in the final funding bill. That's what we do all the time. That's regular order. That's normal course of business. And it's what Democrats like Chuck Schumer have done year in and year out for 44 years. So I hope they come to their senses.
I get the argument. I think the question is, what is the inflection point? Is it the fact that you now have government employees who are not going to be paid? Is it the fact that there's even talk of, folks at TSA or others, maybe going to walk out? We'll see what ultimately happens. And then the question becomes both who gets the blame, meaning obviously there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, but to the extent that there's an opportunity to reach a deal, is there a give? Meaning, is it just clean the way the Republicans have been asking of the Democrats the whole time, or do you think that there's something on offer that ultimately gets given to make it happen?
Listen, Andrew, I think if you give with these unreasonable demands, remember, they're asking for twice the amount of the discretionary budget by spending an additional $1.5 trillion. You know the list of things like funding health care for illegals, by going back to welfare without work, and then expanding these failed COVID subsidies, not just for people on Obamacare, but people making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Listen, we will be in this position year in and year out if we give away some bad policy that's going to hurt the country or cause us to spend more money and put increased pressure on prices. So, yeah.
Do you feel like
there's,
I mean, the midterms are coming, and the people that I see that talk to me on Twitter and elsewhere, they don't really understand any of this, or very little of it. And that's why you can see the polls don't really understand it. 13 CRs were voted for. It's almost routine business, the way it's done. So at this point, when these horrible things start happening, only one party didn't vote to reopen the government. And sooner or later, that's going to come home to roost, and people are going to understand exactly what happened. Why would you give anything at this point if you were Republicans?
That's right. Well, like I said, if you did,
but I see the weakening. I see the weakening because of the midterms, because of people in red states, because it's, grandma in the cliff and in the wheelchair pushing her off, and all the meanies on the, you already did the OBBB, you're cutting Medicaid, it's already happening, and they're gonna weaken. I can see it happening.
Yeah, I think if you look at independents and their movement, it's to the good faith efforts of Republicans with the clean CR, no policy riders, same funding for last year that the Democrats voted for multiple times. I think you hit it on the head, though. This is about stopping the momentum of Trump. It's about political interest, right? It's about finding or shifting the political momentum and finding a wedge issue. The problem is it's not a wedge issue. It's another 80-20 issue that they're on the wrong side of. And that's extending subsidies to wealthy people in a fraud-ridden COVID-era subsidy that Democrats couldn't even get made permanent when they controlled all the levers of power in this town, not to mention funding illegals, et cetera, et cetera. It's more disconnection from a desperate party looking for momentum, looking for a change with all the wins that this president is racking up. In implementing the agenda, by the way, that the American people just voted for. So that's my analysis of the situation, which is why I think they will break, and they will break here in the next few days.
Right, but the hypocrisy of suddenly it's different this time, so government shutdowns are fine to get what we want, you know, to basically extort the party that won the last election to do. I mean, what if that happened with the IRA? And what if the Republicans said we're going to not open the government till you rescind the entire IRA? What would have happened if that? Who would have been blamed for that?
Yeah, well, let me be clear. There was plenty of pressure on our new Speaker, Mike Johnson, to shut the government down over the border chaos and the invasion of our country, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it because he's a leader that's putting his country's interests first. And he said, look, we're going to negotiate what we can out of a bipartisan deal, and then we're going to take our case to the American people. We're going to trust their good judgment. And we presented the facts to the American people, and the American people wanted to change direction and do it in such a demonstrative fashion that they gave Republicans total control of the House and Senate and the White House. So that's the way this ought to be done. And unfortunately, the Democrats have chosen a desperate and failed strategy.
We only have literally 30 seconds. How hopeful are you that we're going to reach a deal with China? I know the president's in Japan. There's been a lot of hopeful talk.
The rhetoric is very positive from the folks that have done the preliminary negotiation and framework. I'm very positive it will happen, and I think it's already sending positive vibes throughout the stock markets. But I think the fundamentals of economic growth, wages going up, et cetera, those are things that are going to happen on the backside of this deal. So I'm very, very bullish on that deal getting done.
Jodey Arrington, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it very, very much.
Good to be with you guys.